The greeting that we got with over 4,000 people and the bands and the Patriot Guard and the mayor and the way everything was done, I don't think there was too many people on the airplane that was not choked up about that when we landed. You know, the funny thing about the Vietnam era is the way we were treated as when we were vets and came home. And the reception that we got came back, I felt like I finally came home. And I felt like, you know, I was now worthy of calling myself a Vietnam vet. Before, there was probably some shame and some feeling of not belonging because of the way we were treated, but God, it was just amazing. There's a lot of things that have left me as far as some of the feelings that I had and some of the emotions that I had whenever anybody would talk to me about, you know, Vietnam.
I was about 2/3 the way back on the plane, and probably we didn't get the brunt of what was going on outside. We were on the wrong side of the plane to see what was happening outside, and all the comments was wow, wow, wow. And by the time Dave and I got up there to the door, we walked out and just had to like the guy said, when we came home, we weren't welcomed. There were signs and billboards every place when we came home from Nam, basically telling us to go back. We probably took 15 steps off of the plane down the ramp, and I just stopped and had to just take in everything that was going on. Band and the lineup of flags and the motorcycles and the thousands of people with flags. My wife hung onto my arm. Tried to think of all the buddies. Never got to see anything like this. And one twist of fate, could have been them standing there.
The trip was amazing. I had second thoughts about signing up for the trip originally, and my wife encouraged me to. She said, after all these years, you need to put a lot of this behind you. And I think the day I filled out the application and turned it in, I still was not sure that I was going to be able to come on the trip, but I had high expectations. It wasn't the emotions as much as it was, I thought, you know, there's going to be so many other people that deserve to be on this trip more than I do. And I thought, well, if they take them in this order, I probably should stay at home and let someone else more deserving go ahead of me.
And it's amazing. I mean, sadness, happiness, closure, just, that thing blew me away. I don't know how to put it in words, really. It's how it has moved me and changed me some. We were treated like royalty, I thought, you know, and which we had, especially the Vietnam vets, had never been treated that way, you know. And the treatment we got on that trip was second to none. I was honored to go on it, and I think everybody just did a wonderful job.
This is a royal trip for our veterans, a 3-day trip seeing all of the major monuments in Washington, D.C. to, of course, include the Vietnam Wall, the Korean Memorial, the World War II memorials, see the Lincoln Memorial, go through Arlington Cemetery, participate in the placing of the wreath of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and have a special banquet in their honor on the night prior to coming back home. It's their trip, it's their honor, and we need to recognize that, which we do.
Just absolutely indescribable. There really isn't any words to describe what we went through, how we were treated, the planning, recognizing all the people that gave us an opportunity to be there. We were just truly lucky. 80 of us, probably most of them had never seen anything like this before, and we were treated with so much respect. Every place we went, we were greeted, our hands shook, fed us, and just the trip in itself, we got to see so many things, and the words, honor and courage.
Really a joy to be able to go back there and see, especially the Vietnam Wall, because I'd never seen the Vietnam Wall or the traveling wall, and to be able to trace, a couple of names that I knew on that wall and that I'd served with. So it was somewhat emotional. Probably the most emotional part was when we came home. Of the guys that were on the buses and went on a trip. I saw excitement in their eyes. I saw a youthful expression come over their face again. That's kind of a neat thing when you see somebody, especially when you're at the wall, with the people that have not been to the Vietnam Wall or seen the traveling wall, but for a veteran to actually come face to face with that wall, you see the emotions in their faces. It's like they're finally home. That's an amazing experience in itself, just to be around the guys and the range. We even had a Korean War veteran on our flight, and to see them guys actually become young again. Not that they're a bunch of old farts, but it's an amazing process to go through, and I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
I had two friends on there that I went and found them, and traced their names. And I told you the story about Rich Gillum jumping on the plane before he left. I was home on leave before I went to Nam, and so was Rich. And Rich and I ran together, hunted together, fished together. And he went in a little before I did, got drafted. And he left about 2 weeks before I did to go to Nam. And the day he was flying out of here on Frontier, I had forgot the time, got away from me. So I got home, my mom asked me, she said, "Did you go out and tell Rich goodbye?" I said, "No," so I jumped in the car. I won't say how fast I went, but it was fast. They had already boarded the plane. I ran through the airport, up into the plane, and they held the plane for 20 minutes while him and I talked. That's the last time I seen him. And when I seen his name on there and everything, it just, goosebumps down.
This is an unusual story, but as soon as I found out there were going to be drawings for 4 people to place a wreath, I told my wife, I said, well, I think I better line up my suit and get everything ready to go. And, I was very happy and pleased that someone was going to be able to do that. 4 people were going to be chosen. But I could not believe it the day that we were out there for the pre-travel arrangements, and to find out my name was one of the names drawn. That emotion set in immediately. I couldn't have been happier. I couldn't have been more pleased, and I was very proud to be able to be selected to do that. The first thing I thought of was I watched that ceremony so many times on TV, and I thought to myself, this is one of the most solemn ceremonies. This is a ceremony honoring all these soldiers, troops that have gone before me and passed, died in their service, and now we're at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And this was probably one of the highlights of my life, was being able to hold that wreath and put it on it.
We started this process in December of 2010 with the World War II vets to recognize them and honor them. It went from there to the Korean vets and now, of course, the Vietnam veterans. Did we ever think it'd go this far? Truthfully, the community of Grand Island, the community of Hall County, has been so supportive of our veterans, and it's just been an outpouring of support from the get-go. Our hamburger feeds are a witness to that by the number of attendees we have, 400 plus at our hamburger feeds. The donations have been just out of this world, and allowing our Vietnam vets, our Korean vets, and our World War II vets the trip of their lifetime. And the emotion you see on these trips is just unbelievable. It's not just the veteran that experiences the trip itself, it's the escorts, it's the spouses, it's the sons and daughters. And I think the relationship in that family changes after the trip, as witnessed by some of the folks that just spoke just earlier here. It's a togetherness that the family never maybe had before. So the Vietnam veterans are doing the trips now. They've so earned these trips and deserve them. And we need to see all our Vietnam vets have the opportunity to visit the monuments in DC. We're not done yet. We've got a second flight planned. It's in the works. We've got a third flight we'll need. And after that, we'll see how many more applications we get from our Vietnam vets in Hall County. It's just an honor for me to be a small part of this. It really is. I've loved every minute of it. I wouldn't change it for the world, and we're committed to seeing it through. It just makes us feel so proud to see these veterans finally recognized for what they did for our country. They did exactly what was asked of them, and how can you ask anything of anyone more than that?
Because of the trip, I feel like I've put some things in my past that needed to be put in my past. So for that, I'm very grateful for the trip, and anybody that's out there that wants to go, I'm telling you right now, you need to go. It's healed me in a lot of ways, and I think that's healed a lot of vets.
You got to take it. It's for me, it was so emotional. Everything we did, every place we went, it was just, they treated us so good. Tour was so well planned, and we had so much time to spend doing things that I never dreamed we could do before, so it was terrific.